Hey YouTube, a little bit of Valentine's Day silver here that I got for the kids. We always get them a card, and last year we put a couple Mercury dimes in there, this year a couple Barber dimes. Can't really tell, but the ones in the middle actually have a full Liberty on the headband. Coin Shop was pretty good to us. They gave us a decent deal on them. They basically charged us $1 extra for the full Liberty. So the point of this video is to discuss China. And it's funny, if you were to ask me to give you one reason, just one reason, why I think the price of silver is going to go up in the future, I could certainly talk about our easy money policy, QE to infinity, and that's going to play a big role. I could talk about the future industrial uses. Think about how many uses for silver they've come up with in the last 15 or 20 years. You know, back in the day, and I'm talking about like the mid-80s, it was primarily photography. And now they're just, finding uses for it all the time. It has really unique properties. And as technology becomes more and more complex, they need to utilize its unique properties. Yeah, those are all good reasons. I think the number one reason that I invest in silver, if I just put a one reason on it, would be China. Okay, and to a lesser extent India, but let's just focus on China for now. I don't think most Americans have a very small view of the world. They really do, and it's no fault of their own. It's you really become complacent when you're on top. I don't think that's unfair to say. Most Americans just are very complacent. They have a very small view of the world. I was very fortunate. About 10 years ago, for my company, I had to travel over to Asia a few times. I got to go to Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, Taipei, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and I was floored. I was floored when I went to these places. They are just so much more gorgeous and modern than any city that I've ever seen in the United States. I've been all over the United States: San Francisco, New York, Miami, Charlotte. I've been Indianapolis, a lot of traveling to football games, but I've been all over the country, and I was floored when I went to Asia. It's just so modern, new, and just gorgeous. The new skyscrapers, the growth, it's just exploding in growth. I don't think we really understand that. It always cracks me up when I hear somebody say, well, we got China by their short hairs because they depend on us to buy their consumer goods. Yeah, kind of now. I don't really think so. I don't think they're going to be so dependent on us in the future. Let me explain why. Right now, China's population is 1.3 billion. Okay? And I know that it's never seemed like a big deal because an American's vision of the average person in China is somebody working out in the rice paddies or working in a sweatshop making $1 a day. Doesn't seem too threatening, does it? Well, guess what? Their middle class right now is 300 million people. Guess what the population of the United States is? That's right, 300 million people. China's middle class alone is the size of our country. Okay, they're projected to grow the middle class to 700 to 800 million people. That is staggering. That is like adding an entire United States in purchasing power just within their own people. India, right now, very poor country, right? We always see it on TV, the overflowing buses and everything else. Right now, but they're investing in technology and they're growing. Right now, their middle class is 5%. They're projected to grow to 40%. Understand that China and India together constitute a third of the world's population. That is just mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. Not much of a threat, though, because they're all poor and who cares? Well, not so much. They're growing by leaps and bounds. I was looking at a list of cities. You can go on Wikipedia. And China has 11 cities with a higher population than Los Angeles. 5 with a higher population than New York. Shanghai, Beijing, Tianjin, Guangzhou, Shenzhen, all bigger populations than New York City. You know what's interesting is China is encouraging its citizens to buy precious metals. They're encouraging their citizens to buy silver. Why? Because they want their citizens to have a complete kookaburra collection? No. China sees silver as a vital strategic metal going forward. It's funny how we have a lot of local laws that are trying to discourage precious metals buying. China's encouraging it. India, their people love precious metals. They go crazy for it. That's what they give for gifts. That's what they give for wedding season. That's what they buy. That's how they preserve their wealth. India's government was trying to discourage it by putting tariffs on it. Didn't slow them down. Well, okay, it slowed them down, but they're still buying. It's a big world out there, guys. Sun Tzu in The Art of War said, "The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting." Kind of appropriate, considering that China certainly is no match for us militarily. They know that. But they don't have to fire a single shot. They're going to let our own arrogance and hubris and money printing and exporting of jobs do us in ourselves. It's amazing that basically our CEOs and government are going to be complicit in this. You know, I had a friend that was, he owned the gym that I used to go to when I was in my 20s. And he was a competitive bodybuilder. And he said to me, he finished second place in the States, which is no big deal in Vermont, trust me. We're not very good at athletics. But he finished second, and I congratulated him. You know, I was really happy for him. And he just looked at me stone cold, and he said, "Second place sucks." And I was taken aback. You know, I'm a 20-year-old kid. But he, you know, when I started looking at it, he's right. Anybody that finishes second, oh, they're burning. They're burning. They see one person, one country in front of them, and they're just burning to climb that ladder. They want to be number one. Okay, number 2 is a pretty tough spot to be in. Yeah, number 10, you're just happy to be there. Number 8, hey, I'm in the conversation. Number 5, hey, you know, great. Number 2, oh, I want to be number 1. Number 1 sometimes gets complacent. I think as a country we've grown very complacent. And I think our economic policies are going to be our undoing. You know, people always talk about a dollar collapse as an event. The dollar collapse. I see it more as a process. And I think that process is happening now. Okay, right now we have a real unfair advantage on the world stage because of the petrodollar. I think that's going to change. I think you're already starting to see it phase out. What happens then? Fine, look at your mining data. Look at your cost to mine an ounce of silver, and look at how right now, you know, basically there's a surplus there. Great. And that's keeping a lid on the price of silver right now. But kind of start looking out a little bit into the future. Data is great for looking at the here and now, but it doesn't really look around corners very well. I'm asking you to look around a corner and tell me what you see. I see China and India looming large on the world scene.